being funny is hard. Everyone knows this. Anyone who tries telling you that being funny is easy is either not funny at all or funny beyond belief. Are there exceptions to rules? In particular, this rule, yes. But which do you think there are more of? Those diseased and dulled people who lack any sense of humor, or people who are funny beyond belief? My guess, the former. So I will repeat myself. Being funny is hard, it's very difficult, and it's difficult the way any sort of skill is difficult. But being funny is a social skill. I've said this in other videos, and I think most people will agree with me on this. But if you disagree, say something in the comments. Get mad in the comments. Make some noise in the comments. Let's make this channel bigger together. I need you. Moving on. Being funny is a skill, and like any skill, it's something we acquire by giving our time to it, by practicing. And I say this because I want to make one thing very clear from the get-go. I don't think everyone can be a comedian. I don't think everyone can get up on stage and make a killing doing it, but nobody wants that. Nobody wants like more stand-up comedians. That isn't the purpose of today's video. Not everyone can be funny at some elite artistic level, but most people don't need to be or want to be funny at that level. So that's who I'm talking to right now. What I'm trying to do most fundamentally is to give you a perspective that might help you become funnier than you are right now. Little improvements, small improvements every day. Don't underestimate them. Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a book. I made a video about it a while ago. Check it out. Incremental improvements. That's what we're talking about today. Anyways, plugging over. Being funny is difficult for the same reason ice skating is difficult, which is maybe a comparison you weren't expecting. But I think it's true nevertheless. Ice skating is something fluid. For the beginner, it's difficult. For the pro, it's easy. It's something they don't even have to think much about. Just by watching the way a person moves over ice, we can tell how comfortable they are on skates. And that's something I want you to remember as this video goes on. Remember that we can use the mere appearance of an ice skater to measure their proficiency. Also, remember 2 words: analogy, metaphor. These are important. Okay, so why is ice skating tough? It's tough because it requires awareness and balance and agility and speed and proper timing. Skating, regardless of whether it's for hockey or figure skating or just recreational, is a dance that a person does on top of a knife's edge. One wrong move, one misjudged angle or turn, and the ice skater runs the risk of losing his or her balance and hurting themselves horribly. And nobody wants to hurt themselves horribly. So skating, and this is my point, is hard. But why is being funny hard? Because, symbolically speaking, I think it's a lot like ice skating. And by spending a little bit of time exploring this comparison, by spending a little bit of time with this, ice skating metaphor, I think we can put ourselves in a better position to make the people around us whom we care so deeply about smile. Which maybe you think that sounds dumb. It's fine if you think that, but if you're still watching, I'm banking on you being at least a little bit interested, which is to say that I don't care if you don't like the ice skating metaphor. If you don't like it, make your own video. Tell me why telling a joke is like skydiving, or why it's like bar hopping, or why it's like committing a double homicide. I don't know. I don't know who you people are or what you want, but I'm trying. But enough talking about the haters and the naysayers. I want to get back to talking about myself now. Being funny is like ice skating. And I say this as someone who used to ice skate. When I was a kid, I played hockey. I played hockey from the time I was probably 4 until around the time I left for college. I went a couple years without skating while I was at college, and when I tried skating again, I suddenly found myself having a hard time doing it, doing something that I was once very good at. I wasn't necessarily falling. Skating, I've heard, is a lot like riding a bike, but I was having a harder time making the turns and the stops and going as fast and bending as low. Whatever. The point is, I was better once, I didn't practice, I got worse. And another point I'm making is that skating is all about timing. It's fluid, and our ability to draw on and exercise the skill depends on how often we practice. Anybody who's ever skated will tell you that. I think being funny is the same way. What is a joke? Or if not a joke, what's a funny story? Or what's a story that'll make somebody smile? I'm not trying to get too theoretical here or abstract, but I think it comes down to a combination of the same human instincts that make for great ice skating. There's a comedian I like, Theo Vaughn. I'll drop the name. His style isn't for everyone, but again, guess what? I like him. And if you don't, it's fine. I'm gonna keep going. On a podcast that I can no longer find because I listened to it a year ago, Theo was talking about what initially put him on the path to becoming as successful a comedian as any comedian can hope to be. He said something along the lines of quote, once you make a joke, that moment's gone forever. You can't get it back. Okay, but maybe now you're wondering what this has to do with ice skating. Remember, I'm trying to talk about metaphors, about analogies, about symbols and symbolism. There's a kind of immediacy to ice skating that I think is reflected in joke telling. That's kind of what Theo's quote brings to my mind. So it's reflected in joke telling, or any time we might use our sense of humor to try making the people around us laugh or smile. If our timing isn't right, if our tone isn't right, our delivery, our wording, our mannerisms, X, Y, or Z variables, and whatever else, the joke will fall flat. The funny comment will fall flat. And then we will find ourselves standing before a person or group of people having just told a joke or made a funny comment that inspired no reaction. We will be standing or sitting in a painful, isolating silence, and that hurts. It doesn't literally hurt the way falling when you ice skate hurts, but you take my point. Nobody wants to tell a joke that doesn't make people laugh. Nobody wants to embarrass themselves, whether that means falling while you're ice skating or telling a joke that doesn't land. When that happens, we just end up looking ridiculous. We get embarrassed, maybe we get mad, we're vulnerable. And when we understand the concept of being funny through that lens, I think it becomes something that closely approximates a balancing act. Being funny is like walking a tightrope. To some extent, the stars have to align for a joke to land because there are so many unseen variables that go into the storytelling that the whole process is almost beyond any and all comprehension. It's all about feeling. There isn't necessarily time to think too much about it. The same way when you're ice skating, there isn't all that much time to think about, everything that you need to do. When I played hockey, I had people who asked if I even thought about skating. And the simple answer is no. At a certain point, it just becomes like running. It's not something that you have to think about. And that's another way that I think being funny, telling a good joke or jokes is like skating. And this brings me back to the insufficiency of language to communicate human experience. It's something I've talked about in other videos. It's something I'm talking about in this video. It's why nobody can say, this is how you be funny, and then suddenly you're funny, or this is how you ice skate, and then suddenly you can ice skate. But comedy, some may say, some might agree with me, is as easy as what I've already said. It's as easy as time management, tone management, mannerisms management, charisma management, X, Y, or Z variable management, whatever else there is. And to that point, what I'll say is this: ice skating is really all of those things. It's timing, it's body posture. It depends upon the way we move and how we breathe and this and that, all of these things. Ice skating is a balancing act performed on a slippery surface. Comedy, although not literally performed on a slippery surface, is performed on a symbolically slippery surface. It's on the edge of something. That's why it's a balancing act. One wrong move and down you go. Falling onto the hard and forgiving ice, possibly injuring ourselves, but surely embarrassing ourselves at the very least. Embarrassing in a way that resembles what might follow our failed attempt at making a person or a group of people laugh. And that's how I think being funny is like ice skating. But to close this video out, I want to tell you why I think this is a useful metaphor. The value of understanding comedy in this way, I think, can give us the self-benefiting understanding that the ability to be funny isn't necessarily something that people are either born with or born without. Although, you know, some people are naturally funnier than others. I'm not denying that. The point I'm making, though, is that some people pick up skating more easily than others do, too. But being funny, like ice skating, is a practicable skill. And that means that if we work at it, if we give our time to deepening our understanding of how to be funny, there is hope for us. So put in the time, because being funny is a social skill that you can rely on when the pressure is on, whether it's in a professional environment, an academic environment, a social environment, whatever. Being able to give light to a situation, being able to positively influence another person. This is why being funny is a skill. You don't necessarily have to have punchlines to jokes. It's as simple as just trying to make another person laugh. So do your best. I've made other videos about it. I'll kind of give a very brief overview quickly. Find comedians you like. Find funny voices you enjoy, whether it is a comedian or it's somebody with a podcast or it's a writer. Find funny voices you enjoy. They're on YouTube, they're free, or you can read books, you can read PDFs, those are free, but study up. Being funny is a skill, and that means there are small things that all of us can do every day to better ourselves at that skill. At the end of the day, I want you to achieve your goals. I want you to actualize your full potential. I want to help you the way I help my undergraduates at Hopkins. And it's my hope that you found this video useful and worthwhile. And if you did, or if you didn't, let me know in the comments. But okay, that is everything I've got for today's video. So you know what that means. It means it's time for me to say my thank yous. First and foremost, I want to thank my best friends and video editors, Joe and Bach. I really appreciate all of your hard work. I couldn't make these videos without you. Next, I want to thank you, my wonderful and life-affirming viewer. Thank you so much for giving your time and your attention to this video, to this channel. We really, really appreciate it. We may be a small channel, but all we need to grow is a little bit of food. Okay, let me redo that because I said food instead of sunlight, and I don't actually know how photosynthesis works. But all we need to grow is a little bit of sunlight, a little bit of water, and some fresh air. So we ask that if you did enjoy this video, please smash like, slap sub, say hi in the comments. Okay, thank you again, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time.